Ladies and gentlemen, we announce the arrival of the Prime Minister of Belize, Mr. and Mrs. John Briceño. Ladies and gentlemen, we now announce the arrival of Her Excellency Dame Foila Zalam, Governor General of Belize. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, from the historic St. John's Cathedral, where we are honored by the presence of Her Excellency, Governor General of Belize, Dame Froila Zalam, and retired BDF Captain Daniel Mendez. Prime Minister, the Honorable John Briceño, and Mrs. Rosanna Briceño, Special Envoy. Most Reverend Philip Wright, Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Belize, and other members of the clergy, including Reverend Lloyd Taylor, priest in charge of the Cathedral Church of St. John the Baptist, Honorable Francis Fonseca, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade, Culture and Immigration, honorable members of Cabinet, excellencies of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, members of the House of Representatives and the Senate, Ambassador Stuart Leslie, Cabinet Secretary and Chief Executive Officers, members of our uniformed services, members of the Awards Commission, 2025 awardees, distinguished guests, and Belizeans from home and abroad. For the past half hour, you have been entertained by the Belize Defense Force Band, and I ask you to join me in a round of applause for their beautiful music, which started off the first part of this evening's celebrations. Tonight, as we pay tribute to 19 outstanding patriots whose contributions to arts and culture, education, community outreach, business and commerce, as well as to our environment, we also take the time to celebrate Belize's cultural heritage. Tonight's program will also celebrate our rich tapestry of Belizean music. Please remain standing as we invite Most Reverend Philip Wright, Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Belize, to lead us in prayer. I ask everyone to remain standing after the prayer for a moment of silence in honor of tonight's posthumous awardees, whose names will now be etched in the annals of our nation's history.
Let us pray. Let us pray. Gracious and loving God, we gather this evening in celebration and gratitude for the lives and legacies of those among us who have served with distinction, compassion, and unwavering dedication. These exemplary citizens have shown us what it means to live with purpose, to lead with integrity, and to uplift others through selfless action. We thank you for the gifts they have shared, their time, their talents, and their hearts. May their example inspire us all to be better neighbors, more active participants in our communities, faithful stewards of justice and peace, and a positive force for the common good in all that we undertake. May their stories remind us that greatness is found not only in great gestures, but in everyday acts of kindness, compassion, courage, and service. In your gracious name we pray. Amen. And now we have our national prayer.
Almighty and eternal God, through Jesus Christ, has revealed your glory to all nations. Please protect and preserve Belize, our beloved country. God of might, wisdom, and justice, please assist in our Belizean government and people with your Holy Spirit of counsel and fortitude. Let the light of your divine wisdom direct their plans and endeavors, so that with your help we may attain our just objectives. With your guidance, may all your endeavors tend to peace, social justice, liberty, national happiness, the increase of industry, sobriety, and useful knowledge. We pray, O God of mercy, for all of us, that we may be blessed in the knowledge and sanctified in the observance of your most holy law, that we may be preserved in union and in that peace which the world itself cannot give. And after enjoying the blessings of this life, please admit us, dear Lord, to that eternal reward you have prepared for those who love you. Amen.
Please be seated.
Welcome to the Cathedral Church of St. John the Baptist, a building rich in over 200 years of history and fellowship. St. John's is the oldest Anglican church in all of Central America and a landmark of enormous historical significance in the development of the nation of Belize. In an era of British and Spanish colonial conflict, St. John served as a notable symbol of their homeland to the British settlers. Memorial tablets to these early Englishmen and their families lined the cathedral walls. Many were drawn to the Americas by dreams of wealth, but were met instead by immense challenges and early deaths in the young settlement. The building itself was a massive undertaking for the time period. Specialty bricks and a master bricklayer arrived via ships from London. Local mahogany and stones were brought down river from the jungle, and pine beams arrived from trade partnerships with the young United States. Building began in 1812, and the church was consecrated 14 years later in 1826. The shape of the cathedral is significant, a cross set on a floating mahogany foundation with the altar facing east towards the rising sun. Slaves performed the construction of St. John's. After their emancipation, free slaves worshipped, baptized their children, and were married in the cathedral. August of 1838 marked another political milestone. A service of thanksgiving for the emancipation of the slaves was held in St. John's by Rector Dr. Matthew Newport. Dr. Newport is buried on the north side of the cathedral. Over the centuries, St. John's continued to play a key part in the changing politics of the region. The coronations of the kings of the Mosquito Coast Nation, in what is now Nicaragua, were performed here in the 1800s, making St. John's the only Anglican cathedral outside Westminster Abbey where the crowning of kings has taken place. Many original items remain in the church today. Paired with improvements, repairs, and new construction from across the centuries, they are part of the history of St. John's Cathedral and of Belize as a nation. Before you go, we hope you will take a moment to imagine the countless individuals who have sat where you are seated and the many special occasions marking significant moments in the history of the community and nation. The numerous weddings, funerals, baptisms, and other ceremonies that have taken place in this house of worship over the last 200 years. St. John's Cathedral continues to proudly serve the people of Belize, performing daily ceremonies and services, providing a glimpse into the storied past of the region, and adding to the remarkable living history of the cathedral that continues to this day.
Ladies and gentlemen, we invite Bishop Philip Wright to deliver the welcome remarks.
Her Excellency Governor General of Belize, Dame Froilas Salam, Prime Minister, the Honorable John Briceño and Mrs. Rosana Briceño, Special Envoy, my own colleague, Reverend Father Taylor, priest in charge here at the Cathedral Church of St. John the Baptist, Honorable Francis Fonseca, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade, Culture and Immigration, honorable members of the Cabinet, don't know if the mayor is here, but if he is, we welcome his worship, Mr. Bernard Wagner. Excellencies of the diplomatic and consular corps, members of the House of Representatives and the Senate, Ambassador Stuart Leslie, Cabinet Secretary and Chief Executive Officers, members of our uniformed services, members of the Awards Commission, the 225 awardees, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. As we saw in that brief introductory video, this 213-year-old cathedral building has been the site of numerous significant events in the history of our beloved Belize and in the lives of our Belizean people. From the crowning of Mosquito Coast kings, to the visit of royal and special guests, to moments of celebration, sorrow, and thanksgiving, this sacred space between these hallowed walls have been a place of solace, comfort, reflection, and introspection for people of faith and others, even those of no faith. Here many have gathered over the centuries to pray, sing, read scripture, preach, and share in fellowship, companionship, and friendship. Member and visitor alike have been able to connect with their God in silence and songs, through liturgical movements and traditional norms, all helping them to give expression to who they love and what they hold dear in life. This evening's ceremony is now the latest installment in this long line of significant moments and memorable events in the life of this cathedral church and our nation. The Anglican Diocese of Belize, the custodian and steward of this national treasure, graciously welcomes the opportunity to be your host this evening. We welcome each of you in the spirit of a shared hope, destiny, and pride as we honor 19 extraordinary and exemplary citizens of our beautiful nation for this tribute to Belizean Patriots. Belize at 44, stronger together, rising forever. Long live Belize. Let's have a wonderful and enjoyable time together. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Bishop Wright. At this time, we invite the Secretary of the Awards Committee to read the proclamation.
Good evening. Whereas the following persons have labored diligently on behalf of the improvement of and to the benefit of the country, Belize, and its people, and whereas these 19 people have contributed their time, energy, and intelligence, often at great sacrifice to themselves, to making Belize a better place for all people. Now, therefore, by the power vested in Her Excellency the Governor General, and acting on the advice of the Prime Minister, the Honorable John Bersenio, and on behalf of a grateful nation, Her Excellency proclaimed the national awards vested upon 19 noble men and women of Belize. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Her Excellency Dame Froila Zalam, Governor General of Belize.
Good evening, everyone. Hope you all are warm and excited, rain notwithstanding. Tonight, as we publicly acknowledge the contribution of fellow citizens to building and strengthening the country that we live in, let us take a moment to ponder what that means. Each of the patriots being recognized tonight has been selflessly embodying what it means to believe in Belize. and they do so without thinking about it. They have shown that love of country isn't something done once a year. It is something practiced every day and consistently demonstrated in the little things they do to build strong communities, to protect the vulnerable, to protect the environment, and in so doing, nurture Belize to be the best in all her glorious diversity. These patriots had busy lives, had regular jobs and families, and yet they still chose to contribute outside of those full responsibilities, to give more, to be more. I know their work will continue even as we acknowledge them today. I thank these individuals for their dedication to our country and invite all my fellow Belizeans to join us in celebrating their selflessness. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. At this time, we invite the BDF band to provide us with a short musical number as we get set for the presentation of awards. We begin with our first awardee. Ms. Myrtle Joan Banner devoted her life to education, serving as an educator for nearly 3 decades. Known for her nurturing spirit and dedication, she not only guided students, but also mentored fellow educators. In recognition of her impact, the Myrtle Banner Preschool stands as a living tribute to her contributions.
She has been dedicated to the teaching profession from a young age. The community members, they know her through her PTA, students that she's taught before. Anywhere you go, she would be like, I taught this young man, I taught this young lady, and they're growing up at this point in time, Some point in time, she was recognized for doing so well in her area, and they named this very preschool after her. Dedicated person, she would be able to help students, present students, past students. She would tutor, she would do tutoring to standard 4, 5, 6 family members, some complete strangers, and That's what she's been. Even up to date, she's 74 years old. And if you ask for assistance, whether it be filling out a form, anything some of the community members would ask of her, she would be the one that they would turn to, you know. Let's go to Mrs. Banner. She must be able to solve this. She can do it.
Tonight, she is being granted the Meritorious Service Award for her contribution to education. One more time, an applause for Miss Myrtle Joan Banner. Next, Mr. Eskandar Bedran. He was an entrepreneur of vision whose enterprises transformed Belize's economic landscape. From pioneering cattle and agriculture ventures to establishing Pine Lumber Company and running W Brand Meats, his ventures brought prosperity to Cayo and beyond. In the 1970s, he extended his vision to tourism, founding the San Ignacio Hotel. Respected for integrity, foresight, and service, Don Escandar's enduring legacy continues to inspire enterprise and a nation building in Belize. We are asking you to please wait for after the video to receive your award.
At a young age, my dad grew up on a farm. He was San Ignacio. Before the building was finished, this high school year started, and the building wasn't done, so he had a club by the name of Star Club, downtown on number 1 King Street in Cayo, and the first year of high school was on the bottom of the Star Club, so that's where he housed the students for the first year. He was into work. It was all about menu and work. Okay, and play. It's and if you do it, you do it right. My nickname, the Mincher, used to call me Mincher. He said, if you don't take a chance, you won't have a chance.
Tonight, he is being granted the Meritorious Service, awarded posthumously for his contribution to business. Receiving the award for his late father is Mr. Eskandar Bedran Jr. Once again, another round of applause. Our next awardee, Dr. Mario Estradabrand. With over 37 years of service as the nation's first official forensic medical examiner, Dr. Estradabrand stands as one of Belize's foremost forensic medical pioneers. As a teacher and a doctor, he mentored police officers, forensic personnel, and students in autonomy and forensic science. His dedication has strengthened both Belize's justice system and its medical community.
Belize had several incidents, mysterious deaths, right? And in 1983, he started coming to Belize through then the government, no? And finally, in 1986, he was invited by Dr. Manuel Esquivel to come and officially to stay in Belize and do forensics. He started out at the old morgue, the mortuary on Mortuary Lane. So, barely anything to work with. But he got the job done. And through his knowledge and experience, he did many and find many convictions. Belize started to grow in the forensics, criminal investigations. Slowly, but we got there. Through all the efforts that he started, what he has done, no other doctor has done. Because his job was very challenging. He had to go by foot sometimes. He had to go by boat. Sometimes 11 o'clock in the night, he's in that boat. And he has had several car accidents during getting to where the corpse is to perform autopsies on site. So I think he did an excellent job, and I think he should be acknowledged and rewarded for all he has done.
Tonight, he is awarded the Meritorious Service Award for his contribution to education and community service. Another round of applause for Dr. Mario Estrada Brand. Our next awardee, Kudelia Popkowo, was a beloved midwife, nurse, and traditional healer whose life was devoted to care. In 1975, she returned to her home in San Antonio Village, Toledo, where she delivered babies and supported mothers with compassion and wisdom. At Punta Gorda Hospital, she served as nurse and ward attendant, always extending kindness to patients and colleagues alike. She also shared her deep knowledge of medicinal plants and hosted students in her home, ensuring traditional practices were passed on.
My grandmother, she's Kudelia Pop, or better known as Nachin Pop, or Nachin Ko, or Miss Pop. She became a widow at a very young age, and from there on, her father took her back on and her children. He was a traditional healer, and he then, told her, hey, this will be something. I will soon leave. I want to pass this on to you. My grandmother accepted it. She liked it. With traditional healing, she does like with babes. She like babies. She prays over them. Pregnant women come, especially pregnant women. They come to her, help me even before delivery. Later on, then I believe they ask her if she wants to become a midwife, a certified midwife. She agreed and she left her home. She left and she went to Belize City for like 6 months and trained as a registered midwife. People from all over the country, they come to her just for her traditional healing and her little prayers. And my grandmother never stops praying. So even though that they leave the house, they come for her service, she still will pray for them. She will not ask any in return, but you know, the way they ask her, how much do I owe you? She will be, whatever comes from your heart, you can give. Health is one thing. She values health. You know, she talks about health and like, if you don't love yourself, how can you do for others?
Tonight, we honor Miss Popkoa posthumously for her contributions to nursing and community service. Receiving the award for her behalf is Miss Paula Ricania. Another round of applause for Ms. Popkoa. Our next awardee, Dave Edward Foreman. At Toledo Community College, Mr. Foreman taught mathematics and chemistry while mentoring colleagues in pedagogy. At the University of Belize, he guided future educators with wisdom and care and introduced hybrid learning, ensuring access and innovation for students across Toledo. His contributions extend to sports, mentorship, and community development, reflecting a holistic approach to education.
Mr. Foreman is somebody who is just the most humble person you're ever going to meet. He's very much student-oriented. He's a career educator. He's been at TCC for 30 plus years. I also know him from being the director of Claver College Extension. He's the current director of Claver College Extension, which is a night institution. It's an ACE institution here in Toledo. And I've worked with him for many, many years, and it's always been a pleasure working with him. I remember as a teen, I came to TCC and from this institution, and he was a teacher here. He was never my teacher, but I always wanted him to be my math teacher because of the rave reviews from my colleagues about how much he, as an educator, would impart upon them. And I was always struggling in math, so I always kind of wish that I had him as my math lecturer, but I was never that fortunate to have him. The love for success, the love for giving back. So he definitely embodies that in all that he does on a daily basis for the students and teachers, because he's one of my mentors also. The love for all that he does on a daily basis, love for his students, the love for his colleagues, the love for education in the Belize system, in the Belize education system, that is priceless.
We honor him with the Meritorious Award for his contribution to education. Another round of applause for Dave Edward Foreman. Next, Dr. Jane Crawford has dedicated over 2 decades to advancing veterinary medicine and animal welfare in Belize, providing outstanding clinical and surgical care, improving the health of both domestic animals and wildlife. Beyond her own practice, she has cultivated a new generation of skilled professionals. Dr. Crawford's life reflects expertise, compassion, and stewardship.
Jane is a very caring, very empathetic, very selfless person, and it's not only by words, by action. And I would summarize by saying, if emotional intelligence was a person, that would be Jane Teresa Crawford. Jane topped her class at the Belize College of Agriculture. She was the valedictorian. She went to Cuba, earned scholarship to go to Cuba, and she also excelled. She was in a group of they would call it the talented students. Then she came back and was employed at the Animal Medical Center, where she did mostly, or does mostly, small animal clinics. But she's also very good in large animals and wildlife. She's a basically know-it-all in the veterinary profession, and I look up to her as a mentor. I know many of my colleagues also do, so much so that many of us that came back fresh from vet school and had to do some sort of internship, she took us under her wings. Several veterinarians also looked up to her to begin this beautiful and promising career. In fact, many foreigners also that came to Belize to seek employment, Jane was very instrumental in getting them started, getting them on their feet. She has done a lot with consultants or specialists visiting the Belize Zoo, giving care that is not available in country. She has also been to international forum or conferences and made Belize put Belize name out there. She has Belize at heart, and whatever she does, directly or indirectly, benefits this country. I don't know how it came about, but I would want to kudos, hats off to the way she was selected or chosen, because she is very deserving. I mean, there's just so much. And I'm probably at a loss for words, because I feel so emotional and proud, and that she got the award. It's like I'm a part of it.
She is being presented with the Meritorious Award for her contribution to medicine. Another round of applause for Dr. Jane Crawford. Next, Lionel Chocolate Heredia dedicated his life to protecting Belize's marine heritage. A fisherman turned conservationist, he recognized the urgency needed to safeguard manatees and their habitat. He founded Friends of Shallow Key, later designated the Shallow Key Wildlife Sanctuary in 2002. His legacy endures as a call to protect the treasures of the sea for future generations.
Met him, he had a little gift shop down here as part of his business. So he was kind of an entrepreneur in a way, in a lot of different ways. And back in the 60s, he's the one that started doing the water taxi back and forth from Keycocker to Belize City as a business. And then he was doing tours with some of the tourists. And I think what happened is that there were other Belizeans that also got together and started talking about conservation in a way they didn't really understand as they do now today. But back then, it was kind of an exciting time to be part of that whole Belizean movement with it, conservation. He opened my eyes into a whole different world, because I was in New York doing computer graphics design. And so it was a whole different ballgame to come down here and be part of the whole conservation thing with the sea and all that. Oh, it was amazing. There's an area right east of Belize City. It's a pretty large area where the manatees stay around, because there's a lot of seagrass, where they eat a lot of seagrass. And he discovered these manatees probably back in the 60s, and he just loved those animals. They were so friendly, and there were so many of them back then. In the 90s, he started being more active to try to set up some kind of an area, protected area, for the manatees. So he got together different groups of people, but he had a lot of people working side by side with him to do this. He loved the people of Belize, loved the people of Keycocker, and he also loved the people that were in conservation. I think everybody worked together as a unit to actually work in conservation in Belize. People saw his success in a number of different ways, not just a monetary type success, but it's just a success in working in conservation, a success in his business, and his whole plan for his life. Even though it was ever changing, it still was a good plan. People could see that and emulate that.
To the environment. Accepting the award on behalf of the late husband is Mrs. Anne Marie Heredia. Another round of applause for Lionel Chocolate Heredia. Next, Ms. Sylvia Sorita Gillett. At just 17, Sylvia Gillett started working as a government employee. When Belize faced Hurricanes Iris and Keith, she was at the front lines of relief, offering hope and help to those most in need. Beyond her career, she volunteered tirelessly with the Belize Red Cross, the Police Coalition, the Humane Society, and the Territorial Volunteers, always advocating for the vulnerable.
Sylvia as a sister to me, a sister in dealing with the community. She has served well our country. She has served in many committees, of which it doesn't matter if she was the chairperson or a member. Her work and dedication for Belize, her love for Belize was there. In one of her highlights that I clearly remember and I appreciate very much her leadership was when Hurricane Keith hit us here in San Pedro. Sylvia was one of the first persons that came with boats from captains from Corozal to bring in food here to San Pedro. And when she came here, she would call and say, "Patty, estoy viniendo." And he said, "Estoy viniendo, but where? Where are you coming from?" She says, "I am coming with a delegation from Corozal to bring goods to San Pedro." Then she did the same thing going down south after Hurricane Iris. She came with her group and they were helping throughout the district of Toledo, going to the different villages, Santa Elena, Pueblo Viejo, going all the way down south, which is one of the border villages of San Vicente. They were all over the place. And I would look at her and I said, "My gosh, Lady, you are truly my hero, because I know you're doing this from the heart." And she says, "Patty, for Belize, I will do as much as I can." So Sylvia, Miss Gillett, born from Barrel Boom, having grown in Corozal, work in Orange Walk, work in Cayo, work in Belize City, Stan Creek, and Toledo. Congratulations on this award, best owned to you by our country.
We honor Ms. Sylvia Gillett for her contributions to community service. Another round of applause for Miss Sylvia Sorita Gillet. Next, Eldon Stone Jam Hyde is a Belizean music legend whose passion and pioneering spirit transformed the nation's musical landscape. For over 3 decades, Eldon, known affectionately as Father Stone, helped launch the careers of many celebrated DJs, affirming his role as a visionary and cultural custodian. Eldon Stone Jam Hyde's legacy is one of rhythm, community, and creative boldness.
For over close to 50 years, Stone Jam, as he's called, has been entertaining Belize on a whole, Belize City, all across the country. Music, doing concerts, he's done a lot in terms of building culture, building what is authentically Belize in terms of our music and our entertainment. He is one of the first DJs that you could say had a following. So when you hear Stone Jam is playing, people will follow. I think if you ask any of his peers, they will tell you that he is a senior statesman as a DJ. He has been a trendsetter. He has provided a level of guidance and support for them in terms of building their own businesses. He has been at the forefront for many, many years, and he has led the way with class, dignity, and self-respect. He's a mild-mannered man, mellow all the time, but into his music, knows his music, knows how to manipulate a dance floor with the different genres of music that he plays. And so he's just a master DJ and master entertainer. He's about the music and playing quality music.
Tonight, he is being presented with the Meritorious Award for his contribution to culture. Another round of applause for Eldon Stone Jam Hyde. Next, Cynthia Therese Gab Gill began her nursing career at age 19. She excelled in nursing, midwifery, and education. From the wards of hospitals to the classrooms of the Belize School of Nursing and the University of Belize, she mentored and guided generations of nurses. She strengthened licensure and professional standards. Cynthia's impacted lives in every nurse she taught, every mother she served, and every patient whose care was improved by her leadership.
For this award, Cynthia is getting it because of her nursing career. And she spent 46 plus years in the public sector, in the health public sector. She started when she was 19 years. So she has given her heart, all her energy to this career. She tutored many, many students, professionals, you know, and she was not only a nurse, she was also a midwife, and she trained in midwifery, and she was an educator. So she played different roles throughout that time. One of the things that I know is one of her greatest accomplishments is that she represented Belize in the Caribbean, in examinations, in policies for nursing across the Caribbean, right? And she used to have to go to Jamaica quite, I think, annually, to make sure that to grade the exams for the Caribbean for nursing. She's a person whom her entire life was dedicated to serving Belize. So definitely an award like this is for a true patriot, a true hero, as she is.
The Meritorious Award for her contribution to education and medicine. Another round of applause for Cynthia Therese Gab-Gill. Next, Mr. Godfrey Sosa Jr. and Jamie Lee Usher. Together, this pair of educators have revolutionized STEM and robotics education in Belize. Dedicated teachers and mentors, they cultivate technical expertise, creativity, and teamwork among young people, preparing them to lead in the digital age. Their combined leadership propelled Team Belize to goal at the 2022 First Global Robotics Challenge, an extraordinary achievement among 180 nations. They championed robotics as an official sport, transforming STEM into a national priority. Now, in her third decade of teaching, Jamie Lee has led generations of high school students as both teacher and administrator, shaping a legacy of innovation, excellence, and lasting impact in secondary education. Godfrey championed robotics as an official sport, transforming STEM into a national priority.
Godfrey is a remarkable young man that I truly admire. I've known him, I would think, for almost all his life, because I was his principal, and he was always somebody that I admired. He came from humble beginnings, but he was so focused, so determined to succeed. Godfrey won the first gold medal in robotics for Belize, and he has served at Belize High School for 15 years as an exceptional teacher. In spite of all his medical problems, he has not given up. He even started the IT program there. He also started a robotics competition for high schools across the country. In order to qualify to become a Belizean Patriot, you must make sacrifices. You must go beyond the call of duty. And he has done that. Even though he is ill, he does not let that keep him back. His goal is to empower, to help students to excel, to become whatever they want to be. And he's there for them and for the school. He loves the school where he works. And he always comes up with innovative ideas so that students want to come to the school. I think he deserves it. And I think he can be a model to other children, to other teachers too, that in spite of what you're going through, stay focused.
For their contributions to education, sports, and technology, we honor with the Award of Merit Mr. Godfrey Sosa Jr. and Jamie Lee Usher, innovators, change makers, and leaders.
I like to look at Ms. Jamie Usher as a pioneer. Ms. Usher is really one to be bold. I won't say fierce, but I would just use, she's bold, she's courageous, and she's leading in these particular STEM activities. She is trying to show us the way forward, the next steps to take, and so forth. Is usually very comforting. So I really think she has the right attitude, approach, and also to the meaning about the way forward, especially as far as STEM and STEAM is concerned. If I could remember correctly, I recall, I think it was inside the USA when they had a FRC team. We had a FRC, and that was our first time, but they encouraged us. And that's the kind of thing I like. It's not always about a competition. she is very resolute in dealing with a lot of matters. Also, too, I see she is so willing to even mentor even some of my students. And I think that is a phenomenal characteristic that she has. So me saying that she is deserving is just only an understatement.
Education, sports and technology, we honor with the Award of Merit Mr. Godfrey Sosa Jr. and Jamie Lee Usher, innovators, change makers, and leaders. Another round of applause for Mr. Godfrey Sosa Jr. And another round of applause for Ms. Jamie Lee Usher. Next, Paul Walker is a conservationist whose life's work has safeguarded Belize's wildlife and natural heritage. As co-founder of Wild Tracks, he led the rescue and rehabilitation of manatees, primates, and other wildlife, giving countless animals a second chance at life. With his wife Zoe, he built an enduring movement for environmental stewardship.
Paul is very much an outdoor person. He's spent his life working with animals, primarily with rehabilitation. So working with sick animals, getting them back to the wild. And he has a really good empathy with them. He's built his life around wildlife in Belize, whether it's working with communities to establish protected areas, whether it's working with wildlife, and ways in which people can live with wildlife more easily. There's less conflict. And now a lot of it is focused on wildlife rehabilitation again. I would say he's 100% committed to Belize. He has spent the majority of his life here. I think it's like 38 years now. And that life has been dedicated to Belize. In setting up Wild Tracks, in working with the wildlife, all of the things that he's achieved have been for Belize, not for himself. Wildlife rehabilitation, the work that he does, is not often rewarded. It's not often recognized. Like we don't do any kind of tourism here, so people are not often familiar with what happens. So I'm really, really pleased that Belize is recognizing the work and the effort that he's put in over the 38 years that he's been here.
Mr. Walker is being presented with a meritorious award for his contribution to the environment. Another round of applause for Mr. Paul Walker. Next, Ms. Felicia Nunes is a tireless community advocate whose work has strengthened families and preserved cultural traditions across the Stan Creek district. She taught essential skills in homemaking, nutrition, healthcare, and child protection, empowering women and families to thrive. Felicia has served on the Garifuna Settlement Day Committee, the National Garifuna Council, and the Belize Family Life Association.
mom, Felicia Nunes, she used to work with social department. She always teach the women to empower themselves and learn different skills. So they would come to social department where she worked, and she would teach them home economics, how to make cake, how to cook. Well, her biggest accomplishment is that she empower women, teaching the women how to survive, how to be self-sustainable. She thought that women is one of the women always need to be empowered, taking care of the home, taking care of the family. So she thinks that women is one of the leaders, the one who she thinks she's supposed to be targeting. For someone to become a Belizean Patriot, it depends on the work they do, how they value the community, what they did for the community. So she did, I personally think that she deserved the award because she did all what I said for the community. She worked for the community. And since she retired, she's still doing volunteer work for the community.
Felicia Nunes is presented with the Meritorious Award. Miss Felicia is unable to be with us tonight, but her son, Kent Nunes, is receiving the award on behalf of his mother. Another round of applause for Miss Felicia Nunes. Next, Emith Young. Born in Gales Point, Manatee, Mr. Young began drumming at age 8. Through his band Talawala, he has brought Belizean music to a worldwide audience. Founder of the Maroon Creole Drum School and the Gales Point Cultural Heritage Center, he has mentored countless youth and sustained cultural pride. Young's legacy is one of rhythm, resilience, and roots, ensuring the heartbeat of Creole culture will never fade.
I could tell you a lot about Mr. Young. Some of the many things that I think the most important things about him and his contributions to the country of Belize is his love and passion for the cultural preservation, specifically of the village he comes from, called Gales Point, Manatee. Keeping and practicing the drumming of Gales Point alive and changing, evolving in the country and exposing people to these rhythms and this culture. He's also a very excellent farmer, and recently his farming passion really is coming to the foreground in his life, and he's really getting into learning new techniques yet preserving the ways of the Maroon Creole farming. Patriotism is love of your country and wanting and being proud of your country and yourself and your culture. And I think he is one of many people in Belize. He's certainly not the only one, but he's closest to me that I've seen really loves. He loves his country and he's very proud of it, and he's going to show people about it. I think he knows and realizes the love he has for his unique culture, and he wants to share it with other people. And in doing so, he gives people the opportunity to share their culture with him as well. See, so it's a two-way street where he is giving himself, this is what I know and this is what I do, but he's also cultivating an exchange of that.
Meritorious Award for his contribution to culture. Another round of applause for Emmet Young. Next, Joy Ross has left an indelible mark on Belize's Anglican education system. Beginning her career in 1964, she taught with discipline, warmth, and philosophy that teaching is a matter of the heart. She played a pivotal role in founding the Anglican Diocesan Preschool, opening doors for early childhood education that continue to shape lives today. She is a senior justice of the peace, a member of the St. John's Cathedral Restoration Committee. Joy is an educator whose legacy shines through the countless lives she has inspired.
As many might know her, has started teaching back in 1964. She ended her teaching career in 2016, which puts her at 52 years of being an educator in our beloved country. And throughout that time, she has served as teacher, vice principal, principal, to all the schools in Belize City, all the Anglican schools, because she was hired to work with the Anglican Diocese in 1964. And so one of her main highlights is opening the Anglican Diocesan Preschool that is located in St. Mary's compound. I would say that by extension, what she has done is to really give of her time and talents and treasures to the community. Through her educational journey, she has garnered certain characteristics
that really awarded her that recognition of becoming a Justice of the Peace, and now she is a Senior Justice of the Peace. And so I think that her years as an educator has really given her that comfort and awarded her that kind of privilege that she is very respectable by others in the society. From I was a child, I know she has always mentioned the words of John Wesley: do all you can to the best that you can, at all times that you can. I can't really remember all of it, but you know, it's really to embody doing things to the best of your knowledge and giving it your all. And throughout her teaching career, that is who we know her to be. With family, she is that person that gives her all and goes out for family as well, and all those who she serves. So she is really one for the books, and she is our joy. She is the joy of our life, and so we really celebrate her at this time.
Tonight, she is being presented with the Meritorious Award for her contribution to education. Another round of applause for Miss Joy Ross. Next, Dr. Cynthia Gillett Thompson has been a force for transformation in Belizean education for over 50 years. As a primary school teacher, she rose to become principal of the Belize Teachers College, where she championed curriculum reform and introduced the nation's first distance education program for teachers. Currently, she serves as chair of the Belize Board of Teacher Education. Dr. Thompson's career exemplifies vision, innovation, and devotion to education, leaving a legacy that continues to strengthen Belize's future.
I'm really honored to have been asked to do this for this lady who I believe is a giant of a woman. She's been a mentor for me my entire life. She's introduced me to the teacher education sector, and she's been there for me at some critical milestones in my professional journey. She was also a part of the core team that helped to establish the University of Belize. The Teachers College evolved into the Faculty of Education and Arts at the university, and she was the first dean. And so naturally was very instrumental in laying the groundwork, the foundation for the Faculty of Education and what we know it to be today. If it is true that a nation's greatest asset is its people, then Dr. Thompson is poised to receive such a recognition. Her entire career, as I understand it, has been focused on national development, in particularly as it relates to the development of teachers. When you develop teachers in a way that makes them effective in the classroom, then you are in fact directly impacting the education of the learners and the citizens of this country. And that is what she's been doing her entire career.
Tonight, she's being presented with the Meritorious Award for her contribution to education. Another round of applause for Dr. Cynthia Gillett Thompson. Before we proceed to the awards of distinction, we will have a short entertainment break. And tonight's entertainment is a tribute to Belizean women in music. All over the world, women play a pivotal role in the propagation of culture, and Belize is no exception. For many generations, Belizean women have been a cornerstone in the practice, preservation, and passing on of our intangible cultural heritage. Tonight, musical composer, arranger Alexander Evans seeks to pay homage to some of these women. These women include the Umalali Garifuna Women's Project, Bella Kareem, Tanya Carter, Nelita Castillo, Leila Vernon, and Ernestine Carballo. This diverse performance is being presented by the University of Belize Chorale, accompanied by the UB Ensemble, featuring soloists Kelsey Parham, Adeline Martinez, and the soca queen of Belize, Ernestine Carballo. And for your entertainment, they present to you My Homeland by the Sea. now we have our words of distinction. Tonight, we honor Antonio Mr. Tony Zabinet for his contribution to business and service. Born in Belize City to immigrant parents, he moved to what would become Independence Village in 1965, where he and his wife Elizabeth worked to nurture both family and community from the ground up. As a grocer, farmer, and a visionary leader, he played a pivotal role in transforming Independence from a settlement into a thriving hub in southern Belize. His leadership as village chairman and first chairman of the Banana Growers Association helped establish the Big Creek Port, fueling economic growth. A passionate supporter of sports, he proudly sponsored local football, softball, and cycling teams that rose to national recognition. Even in later years, Mr. Tony remained devoted to his farms and community activities, modeling steadfast service.
When I first met him, he was, I believe, between being farmer and businessman and helping his dad because he lived in Danbriga. His dad asked him to come to Independence here to take over the store that his brother was using for 2 weeks because the brother wanted a little holiday, and the 2 weeks has turned into 60 years. We've never left. Well, he was the longest serving village chairman. And I believe under his stewardship as village chairman, we got water, and we got lights, and we got our amalgamated primary school. And I guess he did something to do with roads and drainage, and he literally developed the village using most of what he could get, what he could beg, and some of his own resources at the time. And then when the banana industry, which was then very young and under the Banana Control Board, which was part of government, when they decided to privatize it, it was a challenge to him because I think that some of the then ministers said, you all could never do it. And he said, well, we can do it. You privatize it and you'll see that we can do it. And so they did. And so that's what it's become, a very big industry contributing to the economy of Belize. The years have flown very, very fast, and he's, I think, made a good mark. And it was nice for the government to want to give him something, because I think he deserves to be acclaimed for what he has done.
Zabinet. Another round of applause for Mr. Antonio Sabanez. And next, the late Edison Seferino Coleman. Sefe was known and loved by all from his generation of skill and his humor. He was a pioneering broadcaster, entertainer, and cultural ambassador whose voice became a unifying force across Belize. From humble beginnings in Benque Bejo del Carmen to studies in London, his journey reflected determination and a vision. At Radio Belize, through beloved programs like La Programa de Tio Eddie and the Ed Cole Saturday Show, he informed, entertained, and inspired generations. Coleman used the airways to address social and environmental issues, while also bringing joy through music and cultural celebrations. His talents carried him onto international stages, yet his heart remained for and with the people of Belize. Recognized with national and international honors, including MBE and a lieutenant in the Royal Victorian Order, he remains a symbol of dedication, creativity, and service. Sefe's enduring legacy as a broadcaster and cultural advocate has influenced a generation of broadcasters, and his legacy will forever place him as one of the best in Belize.
Eddie Seferino Coleman is a unique character. There cannot be two Eddie Seferino Coleman. One. And I don't think he has been equaled since his passing, because he was unique and he was tailor-made for the era he broadcasted in. I know that he touched the lives of every Belizean in that era, because there was only one radio station in Belize. If you wanted to listen to what was happening in Belize, you had to listen to Radio Belize. He had a weekly show, a Return of Seferino, on Wednesday evenings, right? And everybody would wait for a Return of Seferino. But he would introduce and say, Eddie Seferino Caudino Fistularis Tobincos Tobias, hijo de la Rosa y Don Mentán de la isla, de la bella isla de Benquevillo del Carmen. And so when Seferino was on, he had the whole of Belize listening to him. So his comedian way of presenting things, his unique style outside of the comedy as well, right? Just his unique personality contributed a whole lot in creating the Belizean identity, because he could have brought in the seriousness of building a nation and relate it to the everyday man of how important it is to build this nation that we know and we love so much, our Belize. Eddie Seferino was a patriot. He everything for him was Belize, right? Belize, Belize, Belize. He loved broadcasting and he loved Belize. I'm happy that he's receiving this award, because he deserves it. His memory should live on, and we should be talking a bit more about him and the contribution he has made.
Accepting the award of distinction on behalf of his late dad is Mr. Gerard Denton Coleman. Another round of applause for Edison Seferino Coleman. At this time, we invite the Prime Minister to join the awardees and the Governor General on stage for the official photo. During the official photo, we invite the Belize Defense Force Band to provide us with some music. And before we end off tonight, we have some more musical entertainment for you. Once again, we join musical composer and arranger Alexander Evans, as well as the University of Belize Chorale, accompanied by the UB Ensemble, as well as soloist Kelsey Parham, Adeline Martinez, and the Soca Queen of Belize, Ernestine Carballo, for some more musical entertainment.
please. out night and day to put costume on display. King and queen come into life, feel our energy, catch your vibe, feel the stress all behind, it's time to celebrate. Stronger together, rising forever. We're 50 years on the road to Carnival, so let me go. Stronger together, rising forever. Everyone in unity, one in a now it's time to shine. Come back to farmer line. Everyone raving up, party till sundown. For the thing in me come, sexy woman start walking up. Master machine up the scene, it's a run of victory. Winding up and a winding up, backing up and a backing, setting up behind the truck. Boy, rock it down and a rock it down, freeze up and a freeze up. Jumping up, waving up, mash it up. Stronger together, rising forever. Yeah, 50 years on the road to Carnival, so let me go. Stronger together, rising forever. Masquerading in the street. Band leaders, thank you for all you've done. We honor your legacy, a milestone of history. You lay the foundation for the future generation. 50 years anniversary, let us celebrate. We're stronger together, rising forever. We're 50 years on the road to Carnival, so let me go. Stronger together, rising forever. Everyone in unity. This now is time for shine. Come back with farmer line. Everyone raving up. For the drink in me come, sexy woman start walking up. Master man, what we gonna do now? Wind it up and I wind it up, back it up and I back it up, bending up behind the truck. Boy, rock it down and I rock it down, free it up and I free it up, jumping up, waving up, mash it up. We're stronger together, rising forever. We're 50 years on the road to Carnival, so let me go. Stronger together, rising forever. Masquerading in the street. Stronger together, rising forever. We're 50 years on the road. Stronger together, rising forever. Everyone in unity. This is Ernestine, and I would like to wish the entire nation of Belize a happy 50 years of Carnival anniversary and a happy and safe September celebration. We're 44 years old to be soon, Belize. We're 50 years on the road. Stronger together, rising forever. Everyone in unity, winding up to the solar beat. Thank you.
Let us give it up for our talented musicians who tonight provided us with such amazing music. And that brings us to the end of tonight's program. We ask all here at the historic St. John's Cathedral to drive home safely. And for those watching and listening at home and those gathered here tonight, we thank you for joining us and invite you all to continue to enjoy the festivities to mark our 44th anniversary of independence. Good night.